Hi everybody, welcome back. This is your chess friend here, and today we will be playing one more quick game. This is, I think, the 7th daily quick game we've played so far. So, yeah. Bishop e2. So far he played d5, which is a pretty, it's an okay move. I'm not entirely sure how this is supposed to be played. I don't know the entire line, but I'm sure I'll find something. Looks like d4 next turn. Yep. Hitting the queen. Basically, if the queen comes out into the center of the board early in the game, you can get a lot of tempo by hitting it around, basically, with your pieces. So I can develop the pawn with tempo, develop the knight with tempo, develop this bishop with tempo. So that's nice. It lets you move your pieces into the game while also forcing the queen to move. And while the queen is forced to move, you get some extra time, basically. So it comes down to, could go knight to d5, going for a little bit of a sneaky move, but yeah, and then we can go c4 next turn. It should be good. It allows us to hit there with the check while also hitting the queen with the knight. And then c4 next turn, defended by the bishop, should just be a very solid center for this stage of the game. Yep. Okay, so although it might not be entirely necessary, we could instead go knight b4. I don't think it's worth it. c4 is an okay move. We can move knight to c3. Oh, or we could capture. Well, capturing does let us have an extra tempo to play something like bishop to d3. So I think we will capture first, and then go bishop to d3. Simply giving us a tempo, which is pretty nice. And if he does decide check with the queen, we can block with the queen and trade off our queens, developing our knight, letting us castle. So we should be doing at least okay here. It's kind of bad that we had to play f3. Well, we probably could have played knight f3 instead. I'm just not very confident in this opening, so I'm not 100% sure if that was the right play. So yeah, that's my thought process, I guess. We're gonna queen to b3, I think. Maybe queen to c2 is better. So yeah, let's go queen to c2. Well, just defending the pawn that he has attacked twice. So we attacked it twice, we've defended it twice, so he won't be capturing it. We can develop the knight and then castle, which should just be fine when we can finish that. But unfortunately, in that time, he can also castle. Ooh. Queen to b6, huh? Trying to take this d4 pawn. We're going to go knight to e2, defending the d4 pawn while also developing our knight. So that's never bad move. Well, I don't see a way it could be a bad move, really. Bishop b4. He's trying to go... No. He wants me to play bishop takes, queen takes with check, forcing me to block with the queen. That's not a bad move, though. I don't think there's anything wrong with blocking with the queen. On c3, maybe? Yeah, c3 is a good square for the queen, so I think we'll actually... we'll allow him to do that. If he does capture, we can capture towards the center or with the knight. So we can either capture with the knight or the pawn towards the center. Both are fine. So I think, yeah, we'll play this. This is fine for us. We've got much more developed pieces than him, and we're going to be castling it around the same time. So yeah, also we have a dark square weakened. When we castle here, we have the f2 and g3 squares kind of weak. Well, most of the weak squares in our position are dark squares, so with him only having a late square bishop, that's pretty good for us. Well, obviously knight's coming to a6. That's an awful square. He can't go to c3. He's going to try to go to b4. So I think we should just play a3. stopping his knight from becoming really good. Because if his knight's good, ours is worse. Well, no. If his knight's good, we don't have an advantage. We're just going to push. Sorry. Rook's attacking the pawn. We're going to push it up to d5. And then we're going to castle. Knight's attacking on c5, but that's not a big deal. When we have our bishop on c2, we are covering 4 of the knights. Like we're covering all of the knights' forward squares, so this knight is being dominated. Rook to a7, rook to e7, hopefully, in a couple turns. He's attacking with the pawn. We should recapture to just gain tempo. If he takes with the bishop, that's really good, so I doubt he will. Yep, never lucky, I guess. Gonna attack his pawn. Gonna attack the pawn. We can double the rooks. So, okay, he's defending it with a rook, which I think I've mentioned before. You don't really want your rooks behind your pawns. This is a very passive rook, especially because it's only defending this pawn, these pawns basically. So he's got a very weak rook now. I think it's great. It's correct to... No. We're going to go to d2, hopefully trying to push the pawn forward. That will leave us with a quite powerful move. Rook takes. If we capture a couple times, we'll be very happy there. Ooh. Don't mind if I do win a pawn. Actually, we don't win a pawn, but it's fine. We had the really weak isolated pawn, so we got to trade it off for one of his good pawns. Well, not good, but his pawns were better than ours, so we're happy to trade them off. From here we have an option. We can go rook to a7, leaving our rook on the powerful rank and forcing his rook to remain bad. Or we can move our rook back, and it doesn't really do much if we move it back, so I'm inclined to not do that and instead go to a7. Although it does leave our rook with not many escape squares, very few escape squares, so our rook is definitely in danger. But we definitely have better pawn structure. He has these 4 pawns over here, where we have this 2-on-1 majority. King's going to c8. I don't really know why it's going to c8, but okay. King's going to c8. We could try to go knight to e4, hopefully trading off all these minor pieces. Putting a pawn on e4 though, which we don't really want to do. If he moves his rook away, we can take still. Yeah, that's fine actually. That's a pretty okay. That's okay. We're going to want to move the bishop first. No, we don't want to move the bishop first. If we move the bishop first, he can capture with the knight, and then if we move the bishop first, he can capture with the knight, and then after we recapture with our knight, he has a choice to just not capture with the bishop, and then we'll be left with a knight versus bishop, which we don't want to do because of how open the position is. Like, if you remember from my advantages and disadvantages of all the pieces video, knights are good in this type of situation where bishops are good in this type of situation where we have play on both sides of the board. So we have things happening on the left side with this 2-on-1 majority. Well, we have stuff on the queen side with the 2-on-1 majority, and we have stuff on the king side with all these pawns. So we definitely want bishops more than we want knights. Capture with this e4 pawn. We could capture with the rook, however that allows his rook to kind of move away and escape from this kind of prison, I guess you could say, that we made for it, because now this rook is really weak and it's going to stay really weak for a really long time. We're going to go b3, we're going to capture the pawn, although first it's better to activate your king. Your king really wants to be active in the endgame, so activating your king is a way, well, pretty simple way to just win the game. If your king's more active than your opponent's, you have a large advantage, which is going to turn into a win. And since his king can't get active because of our rook, okay, so he wants to deliver a check. We're going to capture his pawn, obviously, free pawn. probably going to go to c3. I did not expect this one at all. But, okay, I guess. If he capture, we can capture, he can capture, we can capture, he can capture. We can go to g5, attacking 2 of his pawns, of which he can only defend 1. So he moves here, we capture, he moves up again, we'll move to b5. We'll be up a few pawns, definitely. We'll be up 3 pawns, but I'm not sure if we can stop him from winning this. I think we can. I'm pretty sure. I'm confident that we can, but I think it's better to play it safe. Let's play a4. If he captures, we can recapture. He wins back his pawn, but on the bright side, we can take 1 more. So this way, we have 3 pawns versus 2, but he doesn't have the same advantage. Well, instead of winning 3 pawns, we were only winning 1 pawn, but he doesn't have the very powerful passed pawn, so it's fine. No. I was going to play h4, but that's not a good move. After g4, we have no way to kick the rook away. So we're going to go... Curious. I'm not entirely sure what we should be doing here. Well, the king will never move into our position, so with a more active king, we can figure something out. It looks like it's going to be g3, h3, king f4. It's going to be our way to win the pawn. Yeah. h3, then king f4. And we had to play g3 so that when we played king f4, he didn't capture the g2 pawn. So this way, the king will defend the pawn will defend the g4 square, and the rook will have nowhere to go. So it'll have to. So we're going to win the rook that way. Well, no. We're not going to win the rook. The rook's going to move somewhere along this file, and we're going to take the pawn. Perfect. He's wasting moves with his king when our rook can simply move away. Like there's nothing stopping it from doing so. So nice. And now what's the king going to do, really? The king's got nowhere to go. It can't keep running forward, at least. Can't keep running forward. It can try to run back towards our rook, but that's really bad. So yeah, it's gonna run. Oh, it ran to the pawn. Okay. I understand. Okay, so we made a little mistake there. We let the king run to the pawn, but we should still be winning this, I think. I hope we're winning this. We could deliver a check. No, there's no reason to deliver checks. Let's move the rook to d6, trying to go rook to d5. If he trades, we're instantly winning. If he doesn't, then rook to... Let's go king to g5. Yeah, king to g5. Allowing us to take the pawn next turn. If the rook tries g1, we're going to block the rook's attack. Yeah, we should block the rook's attack. The rook's going to move away. Yep, that's a square that the rook could potentially move away to. And this is an interesting position. We got to think about this. Got to think about this one. Let's see. King could simply move away. No. Let's think about the scary lines first. G4. Rook takes on h3. Pawn takes g4. Rook takes g4. Check. We move away. Takes. He's left with a pawn. We're left with a pawn. We're not winning that one. So it's not g4. So it's got to be one of these two moves. Of them, f4 is pretty clearly better. King to f4 defends the e4 pawn. Yeah, so it's just pretty obviously better. King goes to g7. I mean, that was pretty expectable. Well, not expectable. That was pretty obvious that he would play that. We could play g4 now. If rook takes, pawn takes, pawn takes. That doesn't help us. No, it doesn't help us. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. Could go rook to g5, defending the g3 pawn. And then maybe h4. It would be nice to be able to kick the rook away from its current square, but it's doing fine. Like, we have no way to do that, so we're gonna have to not do that. We could deliver a couple of checks. Check, check, and then the king's forced to move back. So if we wanted to move the rook to d6 for free, which I think is a pretty good idea, we might as well. Well, that wasn't exactly for free because he hit on h6, but this is good. Stops g5, which he might have wanted to do if it hadn't. Now it comes with a discovered check. Oops. What do we want to do though? Well, rook to c3 tells me that he's either wants me to do something or he's planning to do something himself. So I think we could just wait a move somehow. Maybe g4. No, h4 probably is an okay move. And then we're going to want to go something along the lines of rook d4. Yeah, h4 is great. Stops g4 later. Sorry. Stops g5 later, and we can go rook d4 and then move up this pawn slowly on the e file, which is very good for us. We really want to move that pawn forward, so if we have an opportunity to do that, we're going to want to take it without much hesitation. It would be really nice to put the rook somewhere behind the pawn, like on e1. That way we can push the pawn forward, and if he decides to give a check, our rook can block on e4. That would be really nice for us, but I doubt that that's gonna be something that can happen here. Although there's really no harm in trying. He's just moving back and forth, so we definitely have the time that we need to do that. So if he does maybe go b4, we could. So I don't see what the rook's trying to do here. Okay, we definitely. Oh no, we couldn't have gone to d3. Let's go to d3 with the rook now. Yeah. If the rook delivers a check, we can attack it with our rook. And then the rook will be moving away. Nice. Okay, maybe we're... Oh no, we're not stuck. We can just kind of run away with the king to any real square. Yeah. Okay, so rook to... Oh, we're low on time. Okay. This is where we start moving very quickly. Are pre-moves turned on? No, so I have to hover. Upsetting. Unfortunate. But we should be okay. Oop. So we're going to be making some mistakes here, obviously, because we're trying to move as fast as possible, which we have to, because we're really low on time. Luckily, his rook is basically trapped. Well, not trapped, but perfect. 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 What's our goal here? Whoop. No, okay, I made a mistake. I think we just lose on time. That's unfortunate. Oh, okay. Well, we lost on time, but this was a drawn position. Rook takes, king takes, and that's a draw forced. But wait, I can keep playing this? Yeah, well, this is just a draw automatically, so. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. This was our 7th daily chess game, I believe, so thanks for watching. This was your chess friend saying goodbye.